So it sounds like people can see us. I'm going to wait and make sure someone can hear us too. Can see and hear you. Roshini says they can see and hear us. Michael Finn says yes. Glidisa, Victoria Monge, Elizabeth Mathers. All right. Tons of people can say they can see us and hear us. That's awesome. So thank you, everyone, for being here with us on a Tuesday night here. It's about 7 p.m. here in the Midwest United States. I know we have Rich Henderson along with our video guy, Caleb, down in Austin. And we also have a very, very special guest, and her name is Kirsty Verity. And you've probably, if you have watched any of the launch videos for ASM8, you've probably already seen her and heard from her, because we love interviewing her because she has such an awesome story. She's such a helpful, awesome person who actually helps as many people as she possibly can. And so we brought her on to not only hear a little bit about her story, but to also ask her any question that you guys have. So if you come up with any questions at all for Kirsty, feel free to post them below the video here. And then Rich and I are going to go through them, and we'll be asking Kirsty those questions throughout the interview. But first, I want to bring on live from Montreal, Canada, Kirsty Verity. Kirsty, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
We're doing great. I can hear and see you just fine. It's good to see you. I know it's been probably since the last live event that we've seen you, as a matter of fact.
Yep. So when was that? Back in, well, about 3 or 4 months ago?
But in July, I think, as a matter of fact. So it seems like you are a live event regular. That it's a live event until you are there. Now, Kirsty, I know that you've been selling for a long time on Amazon. Been going around almost, I think, for as long as we have, for Rich and I, as a matter of fact. But one of the things that we talk about, and last week on our coaching call, we talked about the people's why. Like, why are you doing this? Is it just to sell a product? Is it just to make money? Which is totally fine. But what's the real why? What do you want to do if you're able to grow your business and turn it into something? What do you want to do? You want to take your family on more vacations, quit your job? Do you want to do something special for your parents? So many reasons out there. We actually have a thread inside of the ASM community where people are posting pictures and reasons. And it's incredible and inspiring to see. So what I wanted to ask you, because I know that you have a great reason for this, would you mind sharing with the group first when you started selling, and what was your why for starting to sell and build this business on Amazon?
Yeah, sure. So, I had quite a big why, actually. And I think my why journey, if you like, started probably a couple of years before I even started ASM. And I was in a corporate job. I used to love it. I was in corporate marketing. As you can probably tell by my accent, I'm originally from England. And then I actually moved to Australia because I love traveling. And actually went to Australia for a year and just stayed there. And I'd been there for like nearly the last 14 years and literally just moved to Montreal about 6 months ago. So, but I was in this corporate job, and although I was going up the ladder, the corporate ladder, I just spent more and more time doing stuff that I just didn't want to do. And also I always had on my report card, if you like, my personal development plan, and there was always this kind of, Kirsty's a bit of a square peg in a round hole, because I don't know if you guys have heard that phrase before, but basically I always wanted to do things outside the box. I didn't want to stay within the lines. I always wanted to kind of do some things a bit different, which in the corporate world, you're kind of an entrepreneur in a corporate world. So, and I was just getting more and more frustrated. I was working long hours because my company was based out of Australia, but it was a global company. And I had to be on different time zones all the time. So like within the UK, within the US, and also within Asia. So I was pretty much expected to be on call, if you like, 24/7. And I just knew I wanted to do something different. I just remember being in a board meeting one day, being bored, funnily enough, and just going, I just can't do this anymore. Like, if I have to keep doing this till I'm past 40, then I think I'm just going to have a nervous breakdown. And even though I'm kind of feeling quite lighthearted about it now, honestly, at the time, you know me, Mike. I'm pretty, easygoing, pretty, will find any kind of joke in anything. But I was feeling very depressed and just felt like I wanted to burst into tears at any point, right? Which is just not like me at all. I just didn't feel like myself. I just knew I had to do something different. I knew that there had to be something else out there. So I started to look into different things that would kind of give me another direction. And then I actually read the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which I don't know if you've read that, but and guys, if you haven't read it before, it's a brilliant book to just kind of get you really focused on create freedom in your life. And so you ask about the why, that really solidified it for me in terms of the reason I'm doing this, or the reason I want to do something different. It's not because I want to be rich, right? It's because I want to be rich in time, not money. And I just wanted to have my own time to be able to do things on my terms. And one of my passions in life was traveling, and just, having to go to work and actually beg for time off, then feel guilty because, even though they give you the time off, that they really expect you to work when you're off, and just having all that pressure on myself, I just thought I just want to do that full time. I remember thinking it'd be awesome actually if I could get something that I could work for 6 months and then just do nothing for 6 months. And then I found something better, which was essentially selling on Amazon, which for me, it's not that you don't do anything for 6 months, but I don't have to be in one location. I wanted to be location independent. I wanted to be able to earn enough money to just kind of to live the life I wanted, not fancy cars, not fancy houses, just, do things on my terms. And when ASM came along, it was the best way that I'd found. I tried real estate. I tried building my own websites. I tried, and all while I was working, I tried share trading. What the hell was I doing with that? But anyway, I tried that as well. And then ASM kind of brought it all together in terms of, because Amazon do everything for you, all that heavy lifting. You don't have to physically be anywhere. But I knew that I could buy something and sell it for a higher price, something that somebody wanted, and sell that to someone else for a higher price and make some money from that. And the key thing for me as well was actually the fact that I did it while I was asleep. I mean, I just remember being able to wake up, refresh the sales, and actually, I've made money because I've done all the hard work in the time that I've set myself to do it. So that was my why. And as I said, it took me a while to get there, but as soon as ASM landed in my lap, everything just fell into place for me.
That is awesome. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people can actually relate to the, you may look like you have a great job, in this corporate world and you're doing well, but being down and depressed, even about, when you're in that situation, there's a lot of people probably on this call. I know I was one of them in that same position too. So I'm glad to see that you really took it, and did exactly what you did with it. And now look at you. I always laugh because I forget that you're, from England, but you were living in Australia, working in Bali, and now living in Canada.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. So as I said, my why was the travel part. And I just knew when I started this course that I was like, and I didn't have any dependents, right? So I was just me on my own. But I just knew I had to do it full time. I mean, I started the course, and actually, I started with you guys, so on ASM1, so it was around about the March. I still remember the timing. It was like March time. I started to do the course, and I just thought, you know what, I can't do this full time now. I can't work full time and do this because I was so focused on wanting to do it. So I ended up negotiating a redundancy from my work because I thought, well, if I just get a little bit of extra cash in the pocket, I'm just going to go away and do this. So even though the course started in March, that took around 3 or 4 months for me to kind of do it. Like,
so
redundancy.
Redundancy.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
To some folks who don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's severance, is it?
Yeah.
Severance? Yeah. You call it severance? Yeah. So it's kind of basically what I did was there were 3 people that did a similar job to me, just on different things. And so I said, well, you know what? You probably don't need 3 of us. You can probably get it down to 2, and I will leave. Bye. But, give me some cash to leave, basically. So that's kind of what happened. And so what I did was I said, well, I'll do that. I'm going to go away. I'm going to get corporate out of my head. And then I'm going to basically sit down in Bali and live the life that I didn't have the money then, right? Because I hadn't started the business. But I was like, I just wanted to experience what the life was like by running this business. And actually, Mike, I remember messaging you trying to get reviews at one point, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going out on a dolphin trip. And you're like, what? And I was like, yeah, no, I am. But so I didn't actually start selling. So I did the course for March, but I didn't actually start selling until September. People have asked me, do I need to get a product right now? And for me, you know, I just went through the course, and then I actually I didn't feel like I was on a gravy train, right? I just felt like I wanted to do it in my pace when I wanted to do it, and do it right for me, and what felt right to me.
No, so a couple things here. That's an awesome story, and I remember chatting with you while you were going on your dolphin trip out there, which kind of blew me away. So we always talk about visualization. So if you want to be successful, visualize that you're already there. And so we always tell people, like, anyone watching this call right now, anyone who's joined the course, you've already taken that step. You're already successful. You may not have the money in the bank to show it yet, but you are. But Kirsty took it to the next level. She didn't just visualize being successful. She moved somewhere to show her what it was going to be like when she was successful. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
How long were you in Bali then, do you think?
3 months I was in Bali, and because I set myself a goal of doing $10,000 a month on Amazon before I was allowed to leave. And yeah, as soon as I hit it, I was like, right, plane, back to Australia. I felt it was more like a rite of passage for me to go back to say to people that, you know, like, what, I don't know if anybody else felt like this, where, you know, you do something like this and people just think you're crazy, and they'll say, well, not to your face, like I had a lot of support, but you know, you could just tell, because they were like, don't worry, you'll you know, we'll always have a job here for you. You can always come back. That was, to me, like, I felt like I just wanted to scream, because I was like, there's no way I'm coming back. So yeah, right. I think I was clearly at the edge of no return, right? Yeah.
Okay, so you got the course in March, and you decided to put it on hold while you went and like spent some time for yourself, and then you picked things back up in September. So a lot of people on this call right here are probably where exactly you were in that September timeframe, going through the course the first time, picking out a product, finding a supplier, and then getting ready to place their first order. So tell us a little bit, like, when you picked things back up, what was it like as far as picking out a product, and then talking to suppliers, and finally making the decision, this is the product that you were going to order for your first time?
Mm-hmm. So it took me about, I think, from woe to go, if you like, that's what we say, woe to go, about 5 weeks. Now, you know, all the module 1 and 2, I think then that was, you know, a bit of an introductory, and then it was like, here's the kind of way that you should try and find a product. Back in that day, it was like looking at BSR and stuff. And then, so there's a lot more time spent on that part, because we didn't have any tools, right? So we had to like go through the BSRs and stuff. And so that took me a couple of weeks. And then what I'd done is I was very clear about what I wanted to sell. So I don't mean the product, I mean the area that I wanted to sell in. And when I've kind of helped other people or worked with other people, I've found that that's a very good way to kind of focus yourself. Me, I enjoyed fitness, right? So I enjoyed like going to the gym, and I was into kind of deadlifting and all this other stuff. So I thought, well, you know what, I can kind of think about that area. And so that way I didn't waste time. I didn't spend a lot of time getting overwhelmed by different categories. I just said, right, I'm going to focus on sports, and I'm going to look at products within sports. And then the second kind of filter for me was, I want something that's light, and I want something that's cheap. Not cheap as in like rubbish, but as in inexpensive, so that I don't spend too much on my first order. And I found a product that kind of fit that criteria, and because I wanted to air freight it in. I didn't want to mess about with like ship it, because I had no idea how to do it. And so I said, well, okay, well, if I focus on that, I can air freight it in. And then I went to Alibaba. I found about five or six suppliers. And then just by their replies, I kind of narrowed it down to one pretty much straight away, because I could kind of tell that you know, the way that they'd answered the questions that I put out there, that you guys say to, you know, ask your suppliers, that they were very responsive, and also that they would be a good supplier. So I ended up kind of filtering that pretty quick. Now, I don't suggest anybody do this, but this is what I did, because I was in Bali. So I just got pictures of the product and then said, yeah, that looks all right. And because the cost was quite low, so I knew that I had that money, right? And I didn't spend too much that I wanted to lose it. You know, when people say, if you go to the casino, don't bet any more than what you're prepared to lose, kind of thing. So I kind of took that approach. I ordered the product, and then within a week, it was after I placed the order, it was in Amazon. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So for those who may have been paying attention there, Kirsty did not get samples nor order her product to be delivered to her first and checking them out before they went to Amazon, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I had nowhere to send it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That was only because she was in Bali with the dolphins. So anyone listening here, you don't want to necessarily do that. And don't get me wrong. One of the things in this business that you'll find is true. We teach you the surest, safest, and fastest way to build a business. But you'll find people all over there who do some things their own way. And that's okay. If you're willing to take a bit of a risk and do something else like Kirsty was, she was in a different place. She was able to do that. And given where she was at, that made sense at the time. So yeah, there are times when you kind of do some things your own way. So awesome that worked out for you so well. So from whoa to go, it's 5 weeks. How many units did you order for your first order?
500.
Okay. And you had them all air shipped in, correct?
Yes.
All right, then. So how branded did you go? So, again, you did this pretty quickly. So they have like logos on your products, custom packaging, or how far did you go into that part of it?
Yeah, I did actually. I knew the area I was going to sell in. A logo. My background was marketing, but a bit more actually briefing that out and things like that. So use 90 to get the logo done, which is a crowdsourcing designer. So what you do is you can just put in and then they actually pitch for your breaking up, guys.
Yeah, just a little bit, Kirsty, there. I was trying to make sure it wasn't on mine. You are breaking up just a little bit. Okay. So actually, I'll turn my mic off as well. And I think if you talk a little slower, then the computer can keep up better.
Okay.
So I heard you say that you knew how to make logos yourself or something like that.
I knew how to ask for a logo, right? So I knew how to, what I kind of wanted from a logo. And I basically used 99 Designs, the website 99 Designs, which is, it's like a crowdsourcing, if you like, for designers, right? So I just went on there, I put a brief on there, and then I think it took about a week to get the logo done because the designers actually come back and pitch for your logo design, and then you narrow it down as you go through. I found that was a really good process because you've got a lot of people working on it all at the same time, and you've got a time frame of when to actually get it done by. So yeah, within a week I'd got the logo, and then I just worked with the supplier on very simple packaging. I didn't spend a lot of time on the packaging. I just did like an insert, basically. I didn't, spend a lot of time over engineering the packaging, and that probably took another week. Yeah.
Okay, so you did go with a logo. So you had simple packaging, it had your logo on it, you had an insert. Was there anything printed on your product itself? Did you have your logo on the product also?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I printed the logo on that as well. Yeah.
Okay, so you went the route of branding it, but not going overboard, which is great. I mean, even today, that's awesome for your first product to do. And just, we do recommend 99 Designs still, even today. They are in the course. So Kirsty's a great example of how well that site can work. It's definitely, a couple $100 expense, but well worth it if you want to get some great, and I mean some fantastic packaging designs.
Yeah.
So Kirsty, so you ordered your 500 units, you had them with simple logo and branding packaging, had them sent to Amazon by air. Kind of walk us through then the next couple weeks or however it took before things started to take off for you.
Yeah, so I got it live because I was in Bali. It was because of the time difference. So I went to bed and then I woke up and I had 2 sales. So I was like, oh, this is cool. And they must have really only seen me through all the keyword research that, that we do to be able to put the listing together. And then I learned how to basically use Amazon sponsored ads. So I put the ads on, And I also, I mean, this took me, because nowadays there's so much more stuff you can do that we know, right? So of course, this is back in the day when we were kind of all working it out together. So I didn't fully understand at that point about the velocity, as in the, more sales means more ranking on Amazon, which is, what you guys teach right now, right? So for me, it took a little bit longer, I think, to get there. So it was probably another 3 or 4 weeks before I started to see any traction. But what I did since then was then look at, well, how do you actually launch a product? So when I first went live, I just listed it. I didn't think about launching. I just listed the product. But then speaking to a couple of guys in the, in the Facebook group and stuff, and sort of understanding a bit more about, well, no, you actually have to kind of get some sales, like a defibrillate the sales kind of thing. And I was like, okay, cool, right, that's what I need to do, and focus on getting reviews. And so I really focused a lot on my email sequence, and making sure that I was trying to get feedback from my email sequence, and make that really tight so that I could actually start to do that. So those are the two key things that I started to focus on. So one was getting more sales, and the other one was getting reviews. And that's when it really started to take off. And that would have been in the next, probably it took me a good 6 to 7 weeks to get that down. And then once that clicked, that's when it really started to take off.
Awesome. And so those first 2 sales you got overnight, how many reviews did you have before you made those first 2 sales?
None. Absolutely none.
That's what I figured. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So in between that time, I was getting sales. It just wasn't consistent because I hadn't really done anything with it. It was just put the listing up. So I might get 2, and then I might get 10, and then I might get 1, and then, every day. And so it wasn't being consistent. But as soon as I started to do the velocity, if you like, then that's when the consistency came. And now that's what you guys teach anyway, which is perfect. Yeah.
And then how about your product images? Who took those for you?
I actually got them rendered. So basically I got them drawn by someone. So they look like photos, but they're just very, very good 3D imaging. So I got those done on Upwork, a guy on Upwork who still works for me today, or with me today. And he did my product ones. And since then, I've done more lifestyle ones. So then I've invested more in, photography. But actually, before I invested in real photography, what I did was I just took stock photos, and I worked with a Photoshop editor to Photoshop in the product. And I worked with a good one, so it doesn't look like you've just stuck it on the picture kind of thing. But, it actually did look pretty good. Because that's one thing you have to think about, is if you're going to do that, then make sure that it looks good. But that was a really good, inexpensive way of actually doing it. And also it was something that I could control more, because I could find the pictures, and then I could send it and say what I wanted done with the pictures and the product in the picture. So I thought that was a really good way to start.
That's awesome. We actually have a service provider in the private resource vault that does something like that. They'll take your product images and do that. So that's great advice. So if you think you need to go out there and hire a model, first off, Rich Henderson is not available. But next, you can actually find services to put those pictures in for you. So that's good to hear that you did that. So this is awesome. I mean, I've forgotten how long, we kind of forget going back to how things were when we all started, and hearing all this is great. So you had your 500 units, you made 2 sales overnight, didn't even worry about reviews. Then things were kind of like sporadic. And then it seems like what clicked for you was focusing on getting sales. Like the more sales you get, then the higher you rank, and the more sales you get. And also really refining your follow-up email sequence to increase the reviews that you got.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, did you do anything? So nowadays we all know the hardest thing for any new seller is to get reviews, because Amazon's clamped down on that. That's really, you can't go out there and just hire a company to do that for you. What's your best advice now for, I know you probably have a big customer list now of your existing buyers, but if you were starting up brand new, what would be your suggestion for people to get those first couple of reviews?
Well, first couple, I would ask friends and family, because you don't need to eat. So like for me, for instance, I was in Bali, but I was in Australia, right? And as long as someone's bought something off Amazon, they can leave a review for you. So it doesn't have to be someone in the US particularly, right? So don't, if there's other people on the call that are like, yeah, but I don't live in the US, and that's completely fine. You can get the people to leave a review for you. So that's what I'd focus on, is just getting 2 or 3. I find even now with a product launch, that's all I do, is get 2 or 3 reviews from people that I know, and then I just focus on the sales.
Awesome. All right, and we're getting, just so you know, we're getting tons of questions, tons of kudos for you. Everyone always loves hearing from you. You're so authentic. So the first question we're going to go is how much did your 500 units cost?
$2,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by my math, about what, $5 a unit? And
yes.
Did that include the air shipping as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. And do you mind sharing around what price range you were selling those products at?
Yeah, $25.
Okay. And so your profit margin must have been like well over 50% or so at least.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get to some questions. I mean, I'm sorry, I apologize. Like, I love asking these questions. I love hearing the story. You know what? I take that back. Sorry, Rich. He's telling me to ask more questions. I'm going to. But Kirsty, you start off with one product, right?
Yes.
I think took 6 weeks to get going. How long was it before you hit that personal goal of yours of $10,000 a month?
After I started selling, about 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then it really started to take off after that. So it was kind of like I think maybe I just got more confident as well. Like I just got focused, confident, and just kept focusing on that, making sure I was ranked and focusing on bringing those reviews in. And so after that, it really started to take off. And that was, I mean, with that one product, I quickly moved, we went to the live event, which was in the January. I picked up some tips from there. I implemented those, which was essentially actually the main thing I implemented there was I did a Facebook group community, and I got people to try the product through there because I had no idea about building an email list and things like that, but I knew I used Facebook every day. So I was like, that's what I'll use, because I don't want to bog myself down in focusing on getting emails when I have no idea what I'm doing. So I just focused on a medium that made sense to me. So I set up a Facebook community, and I use that community to then help me with more sales. So get that more sales coming in. And it quickly moved from $10,000 to $30,000 in a month. And then with that one product, I got to like $70,000 a month sales. Yeah. It's a bit less now because, we've had a bit of competition and stuff. But I mean, in terms of, that one product really taking off and it did really well. So I only had one product for 5 months until I launched my second one.
And that was going to be my next question. So how long was it for your launch? So did you decide to launch your next product or did you decide to go to another market first? Was it your next product?
I decided to go to another market. Yeah. So I thought, you know what, if this sells in the US, maybe I should just take a look at this selling in the UK. And I had a look at it. It looked really good. And so I just went, yeah, I might as well just make more and send some to the UK. And so that's what I did, because it just made more sense to me, because I think, but because I didn't live in any of the countries where I sell. So I just don't think I had any barriers around selling in different markets. It didn't, for me, it was just like, if I send it there or there, it doesn't really matter. And they both speak English, kind of. So yeah, that's what I did.
I saw a question come up about how, did you spend a lot of money advertising on that first order?
No, hardly any. Even today, I don't really spend a lot per product on advertising. Just at the launch, I'll put in my daily budget for ads and I'll do higher bids, which is essentially, you bid higher for that click, if you like. And then once I'm launched, which will be in like 2 or 3 weeks, I then turn it down so that I just have this like consistent advertising going on, but I don't go crazy on ads. It's more of a launch cost for me.
That's great. So a good launch strategy. And anyone listening, this is awesome advice. If there are certain keywords, let's say there's 2 or 3 keywords you really want to target to rank for, we already teach them that in the Launch, Blitz, and Rank, which everyone here is going to watch in a few weeks. But set some high bids for those keywords in your sponsored product ads during the couple of weeks that you're launching, and that will also help you convert and move up in those keywords. Did I get that right, Kirsty?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. And think of it, I think of it as kind of like a cost of launching. You're not always going to be spending that much money on those ads. You just want to get that ranking up there. Excellent.
Yep.
So Kirsty, now to kind of bring things in perspective, I know I sent out an email. I told people a little bit about you. We've talked about your first product. You get up to like selling 70,000 a month, which is crazy. Went to another market. How many markets are you selling in right now? How many Amazon markets?
So I'm in 6. Yeah, that's right. 6 markets. Yep.
Okay. And what do you expect to gross this year in sales?
8 million in sales.
I love asking that question. It always blows me away. So 8 million in sales this year from 6 Amazon markets. And that, does that include selling anywhere outside of Amazon at all?
No. I've just launched in China actually, but not on Amazon, but that doesn't include that. So that's another, it's a whole other story.
Well, congratulations. That's amazing. I love seeing people who started out just, 3-4 years ago and are crushing it like you are. I'm going to go through. We got some great questions here again too. So first, Eric Goulet says, yay. I'm from Montreal as well. Hi, Kirsty.
Oh, hi.
For your first product, did you make any modifications to it at all, other than the logo and the packaging?
No. I generally don't make any modifications to products. I really focus on the brand, and I focus on who I'm talking to on my listing. So by that, what I mean is I really think about who is the person who's most likely to buy this product and use this product. And my conversion rates on my listings are very, very high because of that. I don't really do any modifications at all. The only other thing I might think about is how does it stand out? So I kind of differentiate through color and things like that. Based on, what everybody else is selling, I might make it a different color so that it really kind of pops out on the page. But yeah, I tend to stay away from trying to play too much with the product, because there's a reason why certain products sell and with the demand for them, right? And so you don't want to mess about too much with that. You can differentiate to a point, but you don't want to mess about too much with the core, because otherwise you can kind of take it away from something that somebody actually wants to buy.
Awesome. No, great advice. And I think you kind of answered this when you're talking about how you picked your product, but do you actually like the types of products that make up your brand?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I actually use a lot of them. Actually, I use most of them. There's only one that I don't because it's too big, but yeah, I don't. Yeah. But yeah, no, I use all of them. But you don't have to, it's not like that you have to do that. But I just felt if I'm going to talk to someone on my listing and through my marketing, then, for me, I'm the path of least resistance. I just want to be able to do things simply and quickly. And so the path of least resistance to me was to focus on something that I actually enjoyed myself.
Awesome. No, that's great. And we tell people that too, that having an interest in your products, does help. You don't have to be passionate about them, but having an interest does exactly what you talk about. Lets you communicate with your customers much more authentically and effectively too.
I think just on that, you talked about the passion part. I think you don't necessarily have to be, it's better if you're not passionate about the product itself. I think it's better if you've got more of an affinity to the people that you're talking to. Does that make sense? So that if for whatever reason, one of the products, crap happens, right, at the end of the day, and one of your products might not work. So you don't want to fall in love with the product. You just want to be able to have passion or a little bit more of an affinity to the brand itself and to the type of people that you want to market to, not necessarily about the products, because that can trip you up a little bit if you need to do anything differently to them.
That's great feedback. It really is. Let's see. How did you deal with feeling frustrated, feeling down in time management in the beginning? This person here, and I can't see the names. I apologize for that, everyone. I'm working a full-time job right now, plus some hours teaching on the side. It's been so hard to balance, but I really want to make it work. And thank you. Your story is so inspirational.
Oh, nice. Well, usually drinking helps, but
How do we know that was going to come up as an answer at some point?
uh, well, actually, yeah, I'm not even joking. That now I am joking a little bit, but I suppose that the point is a bit of downtime for yourself. I think, what we try and do is we overburden ourselves with stressing out about what we think, where we think we should be. And so one of the best things I found is to actually write a goal of where I wanted to be in 12 months time. And I write what we call a SMART goal. I don't want to overcomplicate it, but basically just make a time in there. So what date, how much you want to achieve, make it relevant, and as in make it relevant to you. So for me, my goal was around traveling as well, right? So think of it this way. I said, I want to have $10,000 from my Amazon business in 12 months time. So for these guys, it might be like December 2018, so that I can take $5,000 for myself and $5,000 to reinvest back into the business per month. And so I can leave my soulless job so I can travel the world, right? And that helped me really get focused on, okay, well, I need to make that. I'll be happy with that. So when am I going to make it? Here. Okay. And then I just worked back from there with steps on exactly what I needed to do that week. So if you think about it this way, I don't want to overcomplicate it, but think about it this way. You write the goal, then you say, okay, well, it's going to take me 12 months to do. I might need to launch maybe 4 products. So if I do one every quarter, every 3 months, and I'm going to launch my first product right now, what do I need to do right now to achieve that launch in the next 3 months? And then try and write a weekly task list for yourself of what you want to do, and refresh that every week. But don't overplay it. Don't try and overwhelm yourself with stuff. If you don't do something that week, don't worry about it. Just move it to the next week. But as long as you've carved out, say, 2 hours a day that you're going to spend on this business, and just do stuff in those 2 days. If you don't know something or you feel stuck, then go to the community and ask. Don't sit there and overwhelm yourself looking at the computer, just staring at it, going, because that's what I did when I got so frustrated sometimes, is I'd just I'd watch the videos again and just stare at the thing, just going, I've got no idea what I'm supposed to do next. But when I actually started posting in the communities and getting some feedback from people, that's when I really started to move forward as well. So that was a long answer, but write a goal, carve some time out every day that's not going to overwhelm you. Make sure you get the stuff down on a piece of paper that you're going to do in those 2 hours. And if you get stuck, ask someone. And if you have to move it to the next week or the next day, then do that. As long as you do something, don't worry about like having to do everything at the pace that the course is given to you by.
No, long answer, but that's an awesome answer. Very, a great one. Did you ever work with anyone on setting goals like that, or is that kind of from your corporate background?
From a corporate background, yeah. We used to do that quite a lot. And so it was kind of I probably just had it in there, right? All the times I had to do it for work, which I hated, it actually came in handy. Yeah.
We have someone kind of in this situation right now. They're saying, hi, I'm still in module 1. So we just started module 3, and I'm feeling like I'm having a hard time building my primary list. Any help would really be appreciated. So what advice do you have to someone, they're still trying to build their primary product list? Okay.
So I don't know if that person is like trying to look across every category, because I think that can be overwhelming. So the one place I'd say to start is just pick something you're interested in. You don't have to be really passionate about it, but just pick something you're interested in. If you're still stuck, just write a list of stuff you like. Do you like eating? Do you like walking? Do you like being outside? Do you like cooking? Do you like TV? Whatever it is, just write a list. And then just kind of rank them in order of gut feel, right, of preference. And so if some people overthink things, right, so don't try and think, try and use your heart and your gut about which one you react strongly to. That's what I like to try and do when I'm overthinking stuff. And so just try and say, yeah, I like this one better, star it if you can. And then just get that one area and focus in on exactly what ASM tell you to do and how to look for products, particularly in that one niche. And maybe think to yourself, what are your filters? How much do you want to spend on the product? What's your first order quantity? You know, how much do you, because this is a good way to filter, right? So you can have a total list of products, but if you only want to spend $2,000 on your first order and you want to order 500 units, then your product's got to cost a certain amount, right? And so try and filter your choices that way as well, because that's going to really help you get started with as least amount of angst, because there's no point in you wanting to go out there and get 2,000 units of a product that's costing you $20, because that's going to cost you, I can't even do maths right, but that's a lot, right? So, you know, just try and pick things that are small, light, as your first product, something that you're not over invested in, and that'll help get you started. So, but yeah, if you're overwhelmed at that first stage, it's really just pick one category and just have a look in that one category rather than trying to overwhelm yourself with all the other bits.
That's great advice. Thank you. So many people are saying that they really love your story again. Like, tons of kudos to you. Here's one right here. What were some obstacles you had to overcome that stand out throughout this entire process? And thanks again for sharing your story. Truly inspirational and motivating.
No worries. I mean, first of all, the first obstacle was more working out where the sales were going to come from, right? And too many things to do, as in too many ways I could try and get sales. So, you know, you can use different mediums. So you can use Amazon sponsored ads. You can use Facebook. You can use YouTube. You could use Instagram. You could use Twitter, right? The good thing and the bad thing about this is the fact that there's lots of options. The bad thing is that you can feel overwhelmed with which one should you do and how often should you do it. So an obstacle for me was feeling overwhelmed with that stuff and not doing anything. So what I did was pick the things that made most sense to me that I could do without much other training, what I felt other training, which is why I really focused on sponsored ads, because the one thing that clicked for me was the reason we're selling on Amazon is the fact that there's all these people every day that are buying on Amazon, right? So why don't I just stick to getting those people rather than trying to think about driving people outside of Amazon to buy my stuff? And so by me focusing in on how to use Amazon sponsored ads, and to be honest, I'm not an expert in that at all, but it was a simple way because Amazon make it easy for you to set up the ads. You can't spend too much because you put a daily cap. And then the other thing for me was using price as a way to get people to get in at the first hurdle, if you like people to buy the product, because you want to make it a no-brainer, right, for people. So I then focused on, well, I'll do a price drop. I'll do Amazon sponsored ads, and that will give me, Amazon ads give me a lot of visibility, if you like, with lots of keywords, and the price is going to give me a conversion factor over and above reviews because I don't have any reviews yet. So that's what I did. So my first obstacle was overwhelmed with too much stuff I could do. So I just focused in on what I knew, what I felt was most simple for me to work. So
awesome. Awesome advice. Question from someone named Rich. Kirsty, when did you become psychic? Because you're answering questions before members are asking them. I think I know which Rich that is. Let's see. Oh, here's one. Do you run your business by yourself or alone? Do you have a partner?
I have a partner now. Yeah. So I started it on my own. And then about 6-7 months in, my ex-boyfriend actually, he came on board and he does all the supply chain part of it. And I do all the strategic bit, so looking at products and launching products and making sure that they're still ranked and things like that. And now I actually have a brand manager that helps me even more. so I could do more stuff, right? So I've kind of taught her the business. I've taught her pretty much ASM, right, and how to run it. And so I just direct her now. But that was a good 2 years before I got anybody in like that to help me.
But starting off was just by yourself, right?
Yeah, just by myself. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see, tons of questions here. Your first product, did you find that it had high competition or low competition? So I'll ask this in two parts. How competitive was it when you started off, and then has it gotten more competitive since then?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it was competitive in that there was a lot of sellers. However, when we started, there wasn't a lot of people that knew really how to sell properly, right? And so in that sense, probably not as much competition to start with, but very quickly, I got lots and lots and lots more competition. But that's life. Like, honestly, that's as more markets become more, what we call more commoditized, as more people buy more stuff, more sellers are going to come in. So you just have to be good at being competitive. And so my advice on that would be, as part of your planning, is once you get your product selling, you get it up and running, that you stay consistent with your suppliers. You work with your suppliers to get the price down. You've always got some good leeway in the product margin so that you're always one step ahead of the competition. And that's kind of the way I would approach the business, is always know there's always going to be competition. That's a fact of selling stuff, right? Or doing anything. There's always going to be competition. So just be prepared to be competitive.
And are you still selling that first product?
Yeah, it's one of my best ones. It's still good. It was like this, and then I had more competition, so it went more like this, and then it went back up again, and that's what I mean about these kind of ups and downs, like not like major like dips, but it's more this kind of wave, right?
Right.
Riding the wave. Yeah.
And the way to get through that wave is you launched several more products, right?
Yeah. So for me, if you think about it this way, you want to diversify at a pace that's good for you. So new products, new markets, because both of those give you that diversity, right? That diversification, because if one ends up one day might dip, the other one's probably going to be good. And so you just kind of want to balance them all out. I mean, I only sell 11 products across 6 markets. So it's not like I'm not one of those sellers that's selling hundreds and hundreds of products either. And so that's manageable for me. And I like to be able to be on top, right? So that's why I still want to be, on that page one, and, selling good volume and just managing a portfolio that's easy.
Right. And again, you were psychic, because one of the questions was, how many products do you sell now? And thank you so much for your time also. So here's one for Kirsty. Which market is the best for you right now?
You know what? It's funny because it always trips between the US and Germany. Right now it's the US, I think, because it's coming into Christmas. There's a lot more Christmas buyers there than what there are in Germany. But yeah, it fluctuates between the two, which is quite interesting. So I never thought the Germans would be so much avid consumers, but they are. Yeah.
That's awesome. And for the first time ever this year is the first time we recommend people to, if you live somewhere in Europe, look to start selling in Europe. We never used to do that before, but that's a great example of how those markets are really coming up. How long have you been selling in Germany now?
I've been selling there for 3 years now. So I went with that first product. I did US, UK after about 5 months, and then I did Germany a couple of months after the UK, because it was a lot easier to just kind of, all the inventory went into the UK, and then I just switched on the German market, and I got it translated and everything, and it just took off. Yeah. So, but I know Germany is a good market for a lot of people.
That is awesome. I think you kind of answered this before a little bit. Do you use social media to sell your products at all?
I don't use it in a sustainable way. Like I don't do it. It's not like a thing that I do. I mean, I've used it to get people to try the product, but you know, I'm a bit sporadic with it, to be honest. I've never really kind of put that as part of my main thing that I do. I honestly really just focus on Amazon traffic. So don't worry, guys. If a lot of people are out there going, oh my God, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, definitely try it. But there's so much traffic on Amazon. If you just get really good at ranking and using Amazon sponsored ads and knowing your keywords, then, you know, you'll have a very good business.
And someone had asked here, do you, well, you know what? So I'll hold off on that one. Do you use any certain keyword research tools in order to help figure out your keywords?
I just use a couple. I like try and get a few different ones. I don't think there's one out there that goes, this is the thing. So I'll start with merchant words just to get an idea. Actually, that's a good product research idea tool as well, because sometimes what I do is if I don't know where to start looking on Amazon, I'll actually just type in an area that I'm interested in, and then usually all the keywords will come up underneath it, which are usually the longer tail ones, which gives you ideas for products, right? So that's another tip, maybe if you're still a bit unsure about what you're going to do, it's a good way to find stuff. So I'll use merchant words. I don't really take much. It's not gospel, right, that those search volumes are right, but it just gives me an idea of which ones should be ranked better than the others. And then I'll use something like Keyword Inspector to just do a reverse ASIN. I'm sure you're going to talk about that. So, but basically what that does is you just take an ASIN of one of the competitors, you'll put it into Keyword Inspector, and it'll download a ton of different keywords that they are kind of known for, if you like. And sometimes might use Helium 10, which does a similar thing. And I'll kind of use the three together, and then I'll just kind of suss out, you know, which ones I think are worthy of going into a sponsored ads campaign. But to be honest, the main thing I rely on, which might be a bit daft, is common sense. Because if you're going to call something, that's pretty much what most people are going to call it, right? So what would that be? A hairbrush, right?
Brilliant.
You know, it's not a fancy brush for whatever, right? It's hairbrush, right? So honestly, if that's what you call it, that's normally what it's called. And then just ask someone else to say, what would you call that? What would you call that? What would you call that? What would you type in on Amazon when you search for something?
No, that's great. And you're right. You need to use some common sense, which probably makes sense if you're interested in a niche. You're going to know what people are looking for in general. And we definitely, merchant words, we definitely recommend them. And Helium 10 actually did create their own reverse ASIN tool as well. And we have that listed in the private resource vault as well for any members interested in checking that out. Now let's see. So we had that question. You already answered. You're selling 11 products. Someone had asked that as well. And, did you run out of stock on your first inventory order?
No, I didn't. But I have run out of stock since, for sure. But not on my first order because it started to sell, and then I was sold, like, mentally, right? So I just went, okay. I kind of tried to predict what this product would do, and it's even easier now using something like Jungle Scout. You can predict, you know, what the main seller's doing. What I like to do is to say, go for 50% of what the main seller's doing over a period of time, and I order 3 months worth of stock now for that, right? Then I try and plan for success. So test out with a small order, make sure it's going well, and then I would plan for well, like I said, I do 50%. If you want to be more conservative than that, then you can be, but plan for 3 months stock after that, because there's no point keeping running out of stock because you're not planning for success.
Right. No, that makes sense. And, you know, I'll fully admit that, you know, we ran out of stock our first several times for the first products. And even today, sometimes it still happens. So for anyone on here, great advice by Kirsty. You'll get to the point where you can definitely plan out 3 months ahead of time. That's kind of one of the things we talk about in Module 8 for planning the future. But for your first order, if you run out of stock, that's a good problem to have, everyone. It's a sign you picked the
don't worry
winner.
about it. It's probably the main problem, if you like, that people run into, right? And it's just learning how the products are going, and but don't worry about it too much. Yeah.
Yep. Now we're getting close to the hour here. So I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. The first one's going to be come up with your brand name. How did you come up with that? Was it difficult? And did you have any help, or did you just come up with it yourself?
I just came up with it myself. But I've got a bit of a technique if you want to kind of brainstorm something. So I like to just and I'll do kind of what's the descriptor, if you like, and who's what kind of people am I marketing to. So I'll put like, say for instance, it's I'm like office, like management stuff. And so why do people want office management stuff? Because they don't want clutter, right? So I might say, why do they want it? And then what's the benefit, right, to that? And then I would just write a list of 2 columns, and then I match the words to see if a cool brand name will come out of that.
That's a very interesting idea. I'd never heard of that process before. I'll have to try that out.
Yeah, we used to do it a lot in corporate to come up with brand names, so it's quite a good way, because what you're trying to do is if you think about why people want to use it and what's the benefit to them, then when they see your brand, then they'll know exactly what that brand is all about.
I'm going to come back to that brand question in a second. I have another follow-up for it. But one of the last questions I'm going to ask here is, how much time today do you dedicate towards your business? I mean, you're at $8 million a year, insane. How much time a day do you think that you put in right now?
Well, right now, about 15 minutes.
All right, this call's over.
No, I'm being a bit facetious there, but honestly, on a regular basis, around, probably half an hour a day, I'll check the sales and all that. And I have a meeting with my business partner every week, which is an hour. And then the girl that works for me, which is another hour. So unless I'm doing something pretty, like going on a big product selection binge, that's pretty much what I do to manage the business right now.
Right. So granted, like, I know you're being facetious, but being honest also, but when you're expanding your brand, that's probably the time that you need to put the most time in, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And now I've got a process. I try and get all my ideas the year before. And then I essentially go, okay, when am I going to launch them? Here, and here. And I just double check that nothing's gone crazy since I came up with the ideas. Yeah. So I do the planning, and then I just execute.
I'm shaking my head, Kirsty, because not only do I know the volume you're doing, the little amount of time you put in every day, but the fact that you're planning these things out a year ahead of time, I just want to crawl back into a hole now. So it's hats off. Like, you really are a rock star. You help so many people out. You give every time we want to have a live call with Q&A. Thank you so much for that. But I'm not done just because I'm saying thank you. I want to get back to your brand question or your brand topic. I'd never heard anyone talk about coming up with brand ideas that way. And I think that would be great if you would share that at a live event. I think people could really use coming up with some brand name. I don't know, kind of like brainstorming. But the reason I bring up live events is, have you been to live events? And I know the answer is yes. Everyone knows this is a planted question. I'll throw it right out there. I know she's been to live events. But I want you to share with everyone here, what do you feel you got out of going to the live events?
Well, the first live event I went to was the ASM2, right? And that's when I met you and Rich. I was the mentor groupie. Because I've been chatting with I've been chatting with you on Facebook and stuff. And so you said, let's meet for a coffee. And I was like, yeah. And then it turned into like a binge where we had beers basically till 2 a.m. And so that immediately put me into a network where you meet people. There's nothing like meeting the people that are as mental as you, that want to do this business in the same way that you want to do the business. So I think just having that kind of meeting your tribe, if you like, is one of the best things that you can do. I mean, anybody can kind of talk to each other through Facebook, but it's not the same. And they're so uplifting, those events, I mean, I'm English. I don't normally go for all the rah-rah, yeah, guys, hey, how you going, But I got really caught up in all that stuff, and it was just not a rah-rah to get you to buy more stuff. It's a genuine, let's all get together, let's all, here's some inspirational speakers, here's some really down-to-earth speakers that can help you day to day. So you get inspiration, but you also get the tactics that you need to kind of take you to the next step. And you get to meet some awesome people that you can call friends for life, basically. So, yeah, I would say definitely go. I also met my now partner live event. So that's why I'm in Montreal.
And you don't mean business partner, do you?
No, I mean my loving partner.
That's right. So there is kissing involved in this partnership, everyone. So by the way, congrats. That's awesome. Yeah, we're happy. Everyone here is always happy for you and love to see you. It's amazing to think of you kind of slightly tied down, but not completely. So
yeah.
What Kirsty said about the live events couldn't be truer. I still remember to this date walking down the Hilton Hotel lobby in Austin for the second live event and grabbing a coffee there, and then Kirsty following us and the mentors out just to go out to a night of dinner and drinking. Those things do happen. And the people you meet really, it changes not just your business and your prospects for life, it changes your life. So I wanted to make sure I asked Kirsty that question, but I do want to bring up but all ASM 8 members, if you've already bought the ticket for the next live event coming up in April, awesome. We cannot wait to see you there. If you were on the fence and you haven't done it yet, hopefully you're reconsidering it right now. I can tell you that we have a special getting ready to come out. It'll only be available for like 4 or 5 days. So either tonight or tomorrow, we're going to be sending out an email that's going to be talking about a very short special only for ASM 8 members. So if you have, if you're not ASM, 8, you're something before, there'll be something else posted later on for you guys. We have a very, very special deal. We want just ASM 8 members because they've never had a chance to go to one before. We want to make it as easy as possible and as affordable as possible. So look for something special coming up on that. Like I said, it might be going out right now as I speak via email. It might be tomorrow, but we're really excited to offer that to you guys. And we definitely, I know Rich and I and Kirsty, she's there. She's always there. So we definitely want to say hi to everyone. And in addition, before we kind of close out here, I will hold off saying thank you to Kirsty. There is something else special happening on Black Friday. So a week from this Friday is Black Friday here in the United States, one of the biggest sales days in the United States. Jason Katzenbach is putting together something very special. Actually, 2 things very special for only ASM 8 members. Again, these will not be available for anyone else. So keep an eye out for those as well. I know Rich and I will be talking about those on the coaching call this Thursday at 3 p.m. Central. So if you for some reason miss an email, be sure to be on the coaching call this Thursday and we'll explain everything to you. Again, it's free stuff for you to grow your business faster and better. So hopefully you like that. But first off, Kirsty, thank you so much. I love you completely. I can say that to the world. I have no problem with that. You are awesome. You help out so many people. I know Rich feels the same way. From everyone here at Amazing, we're getting tons of kudos and thank yous from all the members in the background. They're all so glad that you're on. We want to thank you so much too. So thank you very much for your time. And I know I'll see you soon. And for everyone on the call, Rich and I will see you in a couple days for our coaching call, and be sure to join in, and any questions in the community, feel free to ask them, and us and the mentors will be in there. So I'm going to sign off for now. Thanks everyone for the call, and we'll see you all very, very soon.